All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And in today's video, we are going to talk about carries. So this last weekend, I decided to play with my friends Blap and Adia, and it was right before the campaign reset. And so we were playing, I was playing basically to get transmutes, 25k AP per character. As you guys know, on my last video, I was working on a warden. I wanted to get transmutes. I need transmutes for builds, and so I hopped on my Nightblade on my build from last patch. Ethereal Ascension, Clever Alchemist, Batishran, and Sea Serpent. It's the exact same build. It's a little outdated for this patch. This is probably not what I'm going to end up running, but it's still effective. And I talked about Nightblade a lot during the PTS, and I talked about how I think it got better. Just briefly going through a couple things. The Nightblade no longer has a stun from its flank. It has off balance, which still counts as a stun if you medium weave afterwards. It's the same stun as D-Swing. What this means is instead of being able to line up two burst abilities like within a global cooldown after a CC, you can now line up three. You can surprise attacks. You can surprise attack for the off balance, and then in cap stun into the spec bow. It allows you to line up a lot more burst to kill even more opponents. It's a lot more effective in my opinion, and I like it a lot more for that reason. On top of that, they provided a huge buff to concealed weapon. Concealed weapon is probably the preferred morph of choice. On top of that, surprise attack is a guaranteed crit every 4 seconds, meaning it's just more bursty than it used to be, because a guaranteed crit is better than a 50% chance on a crit. And so you have all those, and then you have things like Mirage. When you take 10 direct damage ticks, you get a guaranteed free dodge roll. Things like Mark, burst heal. Long story short, for me, it is a huge buff for a Nightblade. And obviously the surprise attack stun is subjective. It's going to come down to your personal preferences. Not talking about that, but concealed weapon definitely got a damage boost. Mirage definitely got a buff. Healing didn't really get adjusted unless you're, using Dark Cloak like a weirdo. That one got nerfed, sadly. But overall, Nightblade is, in my opinion, it's stronger this patch than it was last patch. But in update 35, in update 34, during High Isle and everything, I saw a lot more Nightblades. And so I was thinking about this a couple days ago. Like there wasn't a time where when I was playing in the sewers during the double AP event, or if I was trying to 1v5, if I didn't have some sort of caluurions ganker coming out of stealth or multiple Nightblades coming out of stealth to attack me that I didn't see. It was happening all the time. And now I almost never see any Nightblades. And how is it that a class that, in my opinion, has gotten better, how are people playing less of it? Well, the reason I think that is because caluurions and oakensoul were adjusted. Caluurions I think is still powerful, but it's not one-shot gank powerful. It's not hitting you for 10 to 15k like it was. Oakensoul is not providing major force anymore. It's providing minor force. It's still providing a ton of utility, but these sorts of things aren't coinciding to make a ton of damage like they were. And that's what I was talking about, or this is what I'm talking about when it comes to carries. A lot of people just take the path of least resistance, in life, in this game. They don't figure out how to actually play something. They want sets that do damage for them. They want sets that heal for them. They want all these things that do stuff for them without having to do stuff for themselves. And so I've seen a lot of things on my channel where, we've talked a lot about oakensoul. We've talked a lot about a set like caluurions. Caluurions has been a carry set for years. The reason it only recently got adjusted is because it became more popularized. It was a carry for melee mag Nightblades, way back in the day, but there was only like 3 on all servers total. And so nobody ever really knew how strong caluurions was. You never really encountered it because nobody was playing the spec, because the spec wasn't great outside of running caluurions for it. So these sorts of things just, add up, right? And so, yeah, I look at stuff like this, and I've had a few people talk to me, and they're like, "Well, I want to be able to play oakensoul. It's just not good anymore. I want to be able to run caluurions. Caluurions is garbage." Or, what are we gonna do if Maris gets nerfed to the ground? And it's like, well, as I mean with no disrespect, but all those things that I just brought up are carry sets. I mean, you could run them. You could acknowledge that they're carries. You can acknowledge that they give you powerful things, and you like powerful things in PvP. But relative to everything else that exists in the game, they are extremely imbalanced. relative to everything else. And so we talk about this a lot on my channel. There's nothing wrong with powerful sets, sets that provide different behaviors. There's some sets that give you damage via weapon damage. There's some sets that give you good damage via procs. There's sets that give you survival via mitigation or avoiding incoming attacks or, being able to block more. There's all these different forms, or they give you higher survival via healing. In my opinion, it's better if sets amplify your already character. And too often, like in PvE, it's only been recent in the last 2 years where companions have existed. But I feel like oftentimes in PvP, we've had companions for years with proc sets, has sets that heal for us, sets that do damage for us. And people have become reliant on these different types of sets and thinking that, hey, I'm supposed to have these sets that do 15k damage. I'm supposed to have a proc set that does more healing than all my other skills in my bar. I'm supposed to have these things. And they get so used to it that they never really learn how to play their class. And so my long-winded story of this video is there's nothing wrong with wearing strong sets. There's nothing wrong with saying like, hey, this set's way stronger than everything else. I like it. It's way better. It is a carry, quote unquote. But you should have a backup plan, So when these sets get adjusted, and they do, we are like those of us that have been around Cyrodiil for a long time know that ZeniMax often introduces overpowered or broken sets. They do it all the time. And then all of a sudden, a patch or two later, it gets nerfed into the ground. And it leaves people wondering what to do next. Well, that's what I'm talking about. You have a backup plan. And so, yeah, as you guys know, I've been running Maris Ploy. And because it's strong, it's the strongest set in the game. I said that I would run it if it existed in its current form, and it does. And so I am running it. And so it's not much more different than that. But the thing is when Maris, if they accidentally nerf it to the ground, I still have other sets that I can run. If I want a defensive set, I can run Ethereal Ascension. I can run Ironborn. Ironborn. I've been watching Game of Thrones. I've been binge watching Game of Thrones so I can watch the new series in its entirety. So yeah, I can wear Ironblood. I can wear Bloodspawn, these sorts of things. And so because of that, I have backup plans. If they nerf one of my offensive sets, like, okay, well, if I can't run this set, what do I fall back to? I go to this one. And so I know that if Sea Serpent gets adjusted, I know I'll go back to Death Dealer's Feet as an example. If Balor gets adjusted for whatever reason, I can wear Vadishran, or I can adjust to a different monster set, or I can run double damage with a defensive monster set and I can stack more damage that way. There's all sorts of things you can do in these situations. And so my point with this video isn't to harp on anybody or anything. It's to tell you guys, like, the more you know your class, the more you know like how to play your class, these drastic adjustments don't impact you as much. If you're not reliant on a set for damage, you don't have to worry about sets getting adjusted. It sucks. It really does suck when sets get nerfed to the ground. Don't get me wrong, but if you've been playing an ESO for this long, you know that this is going to happen. And so my approach is to talk about stuff that's imbalanced in PvP, to say, hey, like this is a lot different than everything else that exists. We should get these adjusted to where they're more in line. But if they don't, we then adjust and we make adjustments off of this. We could talk about these things, but at the same time, we have a plan for if it doesn't go how I specifically or we think it should go. And so, not to get all nerdy, but there's an old Bruce Lee quote where I know everybody quotes this, but it's basically be water. And it's, just adjust to what's going on, adjust to different things that are happening. So, yeah, that's what the channel is. My channel is about talking about adjustments, talking about good things to allow people to run a bunch of different viable sets that are very competitive, and to where everybody has their own different PvP or their different PvP builds that are unique and fun, and their own specific thing. And the more builds that exist, the more viable. The more viable builds that exist, the better it is overall for PvP. If everybody's running the same 3, 4, 5 sets in PvP across all different classes, you get a lot of cookie cutter builds. You get a lot of people running the exact same things, and it gets boring. It gets boring to run across the same group spec all the time. It gets boring to run across the same classes over and over and over again. And so yeah, some of that falls on us as the players. You know, some of that falls on us to realize that some of the stuff we're running is a lot stronger than some of the other stuff, and it's okay to acknowledge that some things are giving us stuff that no other set has ever given before. And so yeah, I'm going to end this video here, and I hopefully this makes sense. I am recovering from a cold. I'm sure you guys can hear it in my voice, but yeah, we just have to, as players, adjust as with what's given to us. And we could talk about things, we could talk about adjustments that we think need to be made, but when that doesn't happen, inevitably we adjust and we make plans accordingly. And so yeah, I'm gonna end this here. Let me know your guys' thoughts. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.